Hey everyone, welcome back to Ontario Gardening. Today we are discussing saving seeds from our fruits and vegetables and our flowers and the 4 different ways that we can do that. So the first thing we are going to discuss are our vegetables. So basically there are 2 different types of vegetables that we are eating. We are eating something called fruits, and those are your things like your tomatoes, your cucumbers, your peppers, anything that has a seed in its body that we are consuming. Those are a different class of vegetable than when you have your root vegetables. And those vegetables are things like your lettuces, carrots, radish, beets. They don't actually have seeds in the vegetables that we consume. You have to wait for the flower to start producing buds or producing flowers to create the seeds. So we're going to talk about this real quick. So basically, because the tomatoes and the peppers and the zucchinis and those type of things have the seeds in them, we can save those no problem. You just leave them on the vine until the fruit's done producing, until it cannot get any bigger or mature anymore, and you would collect the seeds. Things like carrots and radishes and all that kind of stuff, we have to wait for them to what's called bolt. And once they bolt, they're going to create flowers and create seed pods. This one here is from a radish. So they flower and they start creating seeds, and then they're going to eventually drop those seeds. So the plant has been told that it's done producing, it's shooting off flowers, and that's where it's going to create more seeds. So that's the difference between one to the other, is one is the seeds are already readily available, and these ones you have to wait. So I hope I explained that well. Here's a carrot. So as you can see, it has bolted. It started creating flowers, and eventually it's going to create seed pods, and then that's where we would get our seeds from eventually. So I hope that makes sense, and I'm not able to show you currently at the moment these ones just because they're not ready yet. It's going to take a little bit, but basically these are going to form over, and you're going to pop this off and put it on a napkin, and you're going to do one of these, and the seeds will come right off when they're ready. So that's it for the root vegetables. I can actually show you the other seed savings for the other ones, but this one I just wanted to touch on real quick so that you understood the difference and how to go about saving the seeds on a root vegetable. So now I'm going to show you saving things such as your beans, your peas, your lentils, everything that has a pod that you can save seeds on the inside for. So what you're going to do is you're going to leave your pods on the plant until they start going brown, and basically until they die off, and that's at that point you can save the seeds. So I'll go inside and show you how to do that. So here we've got our Dalve peas, and as you can see, I let it dry out as long as it could on the bush and it'll died off, and now there's going to be the peas inside. So I've cracked that open, and as you can see, here are the dried peas inside, and these are our seeds. So we've literally created new seeds out of the old pods. And here I've done the same thing with the green beans. Here are our new beans to plant for next year. So it's pretty simple for peas and beans and any of those type of things where the seeds are inside of your fruit. So that's the same with peppers, zucchini, anything that doesn't have a gel on it. So tomatoes and cucumbers, those are a little bit different because they have a gel around the seeds, and we ferment those. I'll show you in a minute. But things that are dry, so pumpkin seeds, squash seeds, they don't have that protective gel coating, so you can take them right off and save them. So here is a pepper, for example, the inside of a pepper. It's the same type of deal. There's no protective gel coating, so you can easily just take the seeds right out. Everything's dry, and they would be good to harvest for next year. So for me, I personally use these little bags that you can get at the Dollar Tree for $1. They're 140 in a pack. They are craft bags. They're just tiny little bags. And what I do is I put the seeds in, and I'll write the variety on them as I collect them so that I know. So I've just taken a Sharpie, write the name and the date on it, just so I know the year that I also harvested them, and that's how I save my seeds that I've collected. So those are the easiest ways to save your seeds, because those are ones that you're just leaving on the vine or on the plant until they have matured way past their maturity and you can collect the seeds. These are the little bit harder of ones because they have the gel coating on the outside. So we need to remove the gel coating from the seeds in order to save them. So these are things like your tomatoes and your cucumbers and anything that has that protective layer around the seeds. So I'm just going to show you on a tomato here. I've cut open the tomato and we're going to go into that tomato and try and get as many of the seeds that we can out. And once we've done that, we can take the tomato seeds and we are going to put them into a clean glass jar. I'm just going to use a mason jar here. We're going to throw them in and we're going to let them ferment for a couple of days, and I'll show you what that looks like. So we've got our seeds in our clean jar, and it's got some of the gunk on them. We're going to leave these in here for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to come check on the jar again, because if we've got seeds that are floating, then those seeds probably won't sprout and aren't very viable, so we're going to discard those. So anything that sinks is good, anything that floats is probably not. So let's just leave that and see what happens. So after 15 minutes, I scooped out from the top anything that floated, and what we've got left here is our good seeds that are at the bottom. Now we're going to leave this on our kitchen counter for 2 to 3 days to let these ferment. You're going to once or twice a day come into the kitchen and just kind of swirl them around and move them around at the bottom. You don't have to do it constantly, like I said, just a couple times a day just to get them moving around. And then after 2 to 3 days, we are going to get the seeds away from the gunk and save them. So after 2 or 3 days that they've fermented and the gunk has come apart from the seeds, we are going to take a strainer and strain out the seeds into that and get rid of the gunk. So I've poured my seeds into the strainer, and then we're just, like I said, just going to rinse them off, make sure all that gunk came off. And just make sure they're good and done. Now that we've got just our seeds, we are going to put them onto a paper towel. And we are going to write the variety and then let these dry out for a couple of days to about a week on the counter. So I'm personally going to go through with a Sharpie and write down the variety. This way I know what variety it is in case you're doing a bunch of different varieties at one time and you're seed saving a whole bunch of stuff at once. You're going to want to know what was on this paper towel. So after about a week, like I said, we're going to put them then on our bags once they're nice and dry, just making sure like you pick them up and you're feeling that they're nice and dry. And that is pretty much seed saving 101 for anything with the gel. It's pretty easy. It just seems to be intimidating at first. The last thing we're going to look at is saving seeds from flowers. So when you're saving seeds from flowers, it's very similar to your root vegetables. You're waiting for the pods to completely die off and dry, and then typically there's seeds on the inside. That's not for every flower. I would recommend just researching each flower as you go. So I'm here in Southern Ontario. Our best flower seed saving is going to be in October once all of the flowers, like I said, have died and created those pods. But I have left this one here for you. I've left it here for the last couple weeks just to kind of show you. So we've got our dead pods. This is a snapdragon right here, and then we are going to, now there's two ways to do this. You could either put them in a bag and shake them, or I'm just going to show you on the inside here. So we've taken a pod off, and if I crush it here and open up the inside, see the seeds are in there. So let me just, so I popped it open off camera here and see all of these seeds are inside. It's a little bit wet, it rained a lot last night, but all of these are viable seeds. So as you can see, we're probably going to have a bunch of snapdragons growing on the patio next year now. So all of those are seeds, and that's typical for a flower. So when the pods die off. Like I have some delphinium, some coneflowers out front, same type of deal. I'm going to wait for these pods to grow in them and then harvest the seeds. So that's pretty much it for seed saving on a bunch of different scales. Join us next time. I'll show you some more stuff in the garden, and as things wrap up here in Ontario and we're heading into fall, I'll show you how to amend some beds and grow some quick last minute things. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you later. Bye.